Rico, can you confirm that you have the slides?
Yes, I have them.
Okay.
All right, we're live.
Thank you everyone for joining us. This is Jessica Corbett, Director of External Affairs for Fulton County. We're joined this afternoon by Chairman Rob Pitts and Elections Director Rick Barron. As you can see, Mr. Barron is very busy out and about today, and Chairman Pitts, thank you so much for making time for us from your busy schedule. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chairman Pitts to get us started. Then we'll hear from Mr. Barron. We have a few slides and we'll go through those and then we can take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Corbett, and thank you, members of the media, for joining us. It's still morning. I'm Rob Pitts. I chair the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County. And 2020 has posed quite a few challenges for us, as you well know, going back to June. But in the midst of all of that, we have been successful and achieved a number of successes. And our goal has been since June is to make sure that November 3rd is a pleasant experience for the voters of Fulton County. And that's our goal. And we're making tremendous progress. We broken new records as far as voter turnout is concerned, and between now and the close of early voting on Friday, we will continue to smash those records. And then on Tuesday, we're prepared for what is going to be an unprecedented turnout. Now, we're excited about the successes that we have achieved to date, and we're excited about the turnout that we're expecting on Tuesday. But the important thing, though, to remember for every voter in Fulton County is that we will now have 255 polling locations. 91 of the 255 are brand new locations. In addition to that, others have changed. So no matter where you have voted in the past, I encourage you, strongly encourage you to check to make sure that you know where you are to vote. Should you decide to vote in person on Tuesday, November 3rd, check to make sure that you're going to the right polling place. That's why we're launching today our Know Before You Go campaign. Know before you go. Very simple, but very, very clear. Know before you go. Again, 255 polling locations on November 3rd, 91 brand new, and others may have changed. That's why it's important for you to check before you go to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. So with that as an introduction, I'd like to turn the press conference over to our Director of Registration and Elections, Mr. Richard Barron.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members of the media. Thank you for attending this. Could I get the first slide, please? I'm going to echo what the chairman said about know before you go. Every voter should know, it's probably 1/3 of the voters in the county should know that their polling place may have changed. You need to check the My Voter page at mvp.sos.ga.gov. They can call 404-612-7020 also to verify that information. Next slide, please. So we added 91 polling locations from June. June was a low for us in Fulton County's history at 164 locations. We added 9 more before the August election to get to 175. And now since then, we have added another 81 locations for a total of 91 since June to get to 255 locations. Now, although that's great news because we have 5,000 voters or less in about 243 of those precincts, it's very important that voters go to the correct place to vote on election day. So there is always, with the positive, you can always have something that could go wrong. So that's why we're asking the media to get that word out to the voters. Next slide, please. So many precincts were split. Some voters will remain and some will be in new locations. There were new locations added throughout the county. Our goal was to get 5,000 or less in as many precincts as possible. We almost achieved getting that to a 100% level, but we're in about 243 to 255 where 5,000 voters or less. Voters in the wrong location on election day will need to vote on a provisional ballot. So it's very important for voters to go to their assigned precinct on election day. If voters still want to vote early through Friday of this week, they can go to any of the locations. But tell voters to check the MVP page at mvp.sos.ga.gov or call us at 404-612-7020. Next slide. We've sent mailings to all affected voters. We've done an advertising campaign. We've done outreach to all partners. We're going to have signage at all the polling locations. We will also have line managers that will be outside the locations to verify those polling locations. They will be equipped with cellular iPads, and they will be able to look up that information for voters to direct them to the correct location if they are in the wrong location. Next slide, please. So we're 1 week until election day. The options remaining for voters: vote early by Friday. We have expanded hours this week, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have our 30 permanent locations. We've got Palmetto Library added as an outreach site. We've got another outreach site open. We've got our 2 mobile voting buses. And at the end of this week, on Thursday and Friday, we will have one of the buses at CT Martin and the other one will be in Alpharetta for overflow, since those are 2 of the busier sites that we have in the county. You can return absentee ballots by mail no later than election day, which is November 3rd. And we've got 38 drop boxes around the county that they can go to by 7 p.m. on election night. Remember again, if you're going to vote on election day, check mvp.sos.ga.gov if going to the polls on election day. The turnout to date, we're already at a 45.75% turnout of all registered voters. Early voting, we've had 247,853 people vote. 262,000 was the previous record in 2016. So we should eclipse that today and still have 3 days to go. We anticipate getting up to 30,000 people at the polls on Friday at all of the early voting sites. We've already had 112,130 ballots returned, and we anticipate that number exceeding 150,000 by the end of election day. Voters can check the wait times. The lines will get longer as this week goes on. They can check the wait times on the Fulton Votes app or at fultonelections.com to see where the best wait times are. And I would encourage anyone to go to the Dorothy Benson Center, which has higher capacity if you live in the north part of the county. If you live in the south part of the county, to go to Georgia International Convention Center. That has a higher capacity than other sites. And also go to State Farm. You can go there from any part of the county. State Farm has a capacity to vote probably 15,000 voters in a day. And right now, when they process 3,800 voters in a day, when they have processed 3,800, which is about the record they've had there, they've had no lines with 3,800. So that is the other place that voters can go on election day. They have the capacity to get 60 people checked in at a time with over 300 ballot marking devices there. So I would encourage anyone that doesn't want to wait in line on election day to go to State Farm, because they've had no lines since the first morning of early voting. Next slide. And that's it. So I can take questions.
Questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barron, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first question we have is from Michelle Wright at WSB Radio. Michelle's question is, can you elaborate on why you needed to create new precincts or change these precincts where people will be voting? Is it just new voters or trying to cut down on wait times? And where are some of these new locations?
The locations are they're throughout the county. What we did was we looked at the list and we looked at the number of registered voters assigned to each one. And our goal was to get below 5,000 voters. We had already determined we needed to do that before the pandemic, at the end of last year, the beginning of this year. And then when the June election happened, we lost all those locations. We saw what the lines were like in the primary. We knew that we needed to make it happen. Our goal was to get at least to 220 locations at the beginning of the year. We ended up with 255 locations. And what that does is it puts fewer voters in each polling site. That will reduce the lines. It reduces the assignments of voters to each of those polling locations. But it's important for voters to go to the correct place on election day.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Next question from Jerry Carnes. What have you done to guarantee all polling places will be adequately staffed? And are you confident that will happen?
Yes, our goal was to have 2,785 people assigned to each polling, or to all of our polling locations. We have assigned 3,070. We've already we have training through November 1st. We have either trained or had over, I think, 2,700 of those people already. We are also going to have 510 line managers assigned in the field, 2 to each site. We will also have another 255 individuals, 1 for each site, that will handle canceled ballot affidavits.
Thank you. Next question from Joe Hankey at 11 Alive. Should voters a week out from the election still trust the U.S. Postal Service? We're hearing of slow delivery again. Should voters only use county ballot drop boxes or now plan on voting in person?
Well, the drop boxes are the safe way to go because we pick up ballots from those locations every day, and probably by either Sunday or over the weekend, we will probably, depending on the volume in each one of those, we'll have to hit some of them or all of them twice a day through election day. We may do 3 pickups on election day. So that is the best way to go, is to go with the drop boxes. If you put it into the mail, it can take, anywhere from 2 to several days to get to us. The ballot does have to be received by us on election day. So the best bet is to go to the drop boxes. With the 38 locations that we have are at fultonelections.com. They're also on the Fulton Votes app. And what they do, 90% of the voters are within 3 miles of a drop box.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barron. I do want to clarify one thing that was said earlier because this came up in the chat. State Farm Arena is not an election day location. It is an alternate. Voting at State Farm through the end of early voting is an alternate to election day, but it is not an election day location. I just wanted to clarify that. And we have another question here. Also from Joe. It was mentioned previously that this election period, the goal was to have 80% of voters cast a ballot before election day to lead to a steady stream of voters on election day and hopefully avoid long waits. Will that threshold be met?
We anticipate we're at 247,000 as of yesterday. So we have 4 days. I think we're going to hit 320 to 30,000 early voters because I believe we'll probably have 30,000 people vote on Friday. So if we hit 320,000 and then we have another at least 150,000 absentee by mail, that's up to 470,000 voters. We're anticipating in the neighborhood of 620,000 people voting. that would be at an 80% turnout. If we get 620,000, you do the math, 470,000 from that is 150,000 votes on election day. But we can handle more capacity on election day than 150,000. But that's what we're anticipating is 620,000 people voting for this election. And right now we are on pace to have 470,000 people cast ballots before election day.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. And I do want to just clarify that 80% target was 80% of projected turnout, which, as you just said, Mr. Barron, was 80% turnout. So to simplify, yes, I think is the answer to that question. Ross Williams had a question. Should voters expect races to be counted by Wednesday morning, or are delays likely? I believe this is a question about election day counting and results.
Well, at 7 p.m. on election night, we can close out early votings, all of the early voting units. And we can then read those in and release those results as soon as they are available, probably by 8 to 8:30. We will, everything that will be counted, all of the ballots that will be counted by absentee will then be, those results will be released shortly after 7. So probably anything that we've counted through 2 p.m. on election day will be released at 7 p.m. We anticipate that through today, we'll have, I think, 45, we've already scanned through to, by the end of the day today, 45,000 ballots should have been scanned already. So we will have through Monday at 2, we anticipate having at least 90% of the absentee by mail vote complete, hopefully more than that. If we have that, plus the early voting votes, and then we have election day will come in. I don't know what the lines will be like at 7 p.m. What will delay results from the election day precincts on election night would be long lines at 7 p.m. That will delay the results coming in somewhat. But we have a plan to have on election night, we have runners that will take the ballots and the media, the electronic media that we read in from the polling places to the check-in centers, which will then be relayed down to the election preparation center where we do the tabulation. So my hope is to have 90% of all of the election day results in by 11 o'clock. And then we'll finish hopefully sometime around midnight to 1 with the election day sites. And then we'll get the early voting will already be in. And that should be somewhere in the neighborhood of, 60% of the turnout just through early voting. And then another probably 25% through absentee by mail. And then we'll get that election day in from there.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. I wanted to, for any reporters who still have questions, I think some people use the hand raising tool. So if you have a hand raised, if you could just do that again, so I can call on you, because I don't see any hands raised right now, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anyone. I don't see any other questions in the chat or in the Q&A right now. Mr. Chairman, is there anything you would like to add before we kind of close out? I do have, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just real quick before you say that, this is Vanessa McCray, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and Vanessa had shared this question with us previously. What pandemic-related cleaning protocols will happen at polling sites, and specifically at schools, in Fulton County schools, where students will be reporting the next day?
We have arranged to the polling places that wanted to be decontaminated afterwards. We have made arrangements with those, with the schools. I think they are using their own services, and then they will be billing us later for those services, the cleaning services that they are going to do in their schools.
And thank you, Mr. Barron. And along those lines, because this press briefing is about new election day locations, just want to acknowledge both Fulton County and Atlanta schools for allowing their schools to be polling places, because if it were not for them, we would have certainly needed to find many more.
Yes. They're great partners.
Any other questions before we turn it back over to Chairman Pitts? Oh, wait, we have one more, Chairman. Just this was Jerry Carnes asked, are most of the new locations schools? I don't believe so. Mr. Barron, could you speak to that?
We have also, I mean, we've got a lot of new schools, but we also have many other sites, lots of facilities around the county stepped up to be polling places for this election and for the runoff in January.
Thank you. So to clarify, we have many schools that have been longtime polling places, some new schools, and lots of other new locations. And we will be able to share that full list with everyone. All right. And are this is another question, are most of the new locations in the southern part of the county?
I know that we put new locations all over the county. It wasn't specific to any geographic area. Our goal, what I said again earlier, was we looked at the list, and in every case where we could get a polling location added that would reduce the number of voters assigned to that polling place to be 5,000 or less, we tried to get all of them done. We were successful in all, but I think it's 12 polling locations. Those polling locations that have above 5,000 have extra resources at those locations.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chairman Pitts to kind of make some final remarks, and Mr. Barron, if there's anything else he'd like to add after that, and then we'll let everyone get on with their day. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Corbett, and thank you, Mr. Barron. Just 4 quick words. Know before you go. Know before you go.
Yes, and I'll just echo exactly what the chairman just said. The voters need to know before they go, or know before you go. And thank you.
Thanks to you both very much. We'll be glad to take any follow-up emails, and we will be glad to. This recording will be posted on YouTube, so you'll be able to see it there if anyone needs to go back and refer to it. Thank you all again, and have a great day. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Gracias. Obrigado.